right, that was our 6 through 10. Now we're going to start our 1 through 5.
Yes. So starting with number 5, I have, so don't mess this up because I almost messed this up again, but no. 5 is Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Oh, that's a good one. Quacks is awesome.
Yes, so this is a press your luck game. It is centered around like building your own potion using certain chips that you're drafting out of a bag. And only your white chips can blow you up, which is what you don't want to happen. Your other chips that you're trying to collect throughout the game help you basically push forward, earn points faster. Some of those are at the right as you're placing, like they let you go further in your potion, or some of the different abilities of those tokens are very dependent on the books that you're looking at in front of you. Yeah, so it's just really fun. Press your luck. Like, you're both drawing these tokens out of the bag, trying to get as far as you can on your potion board, and it's like it goes around in a circle that gets bigger and bigger each time.
Yeah, no, this is one that I want to say we give it as a housewarming gift whenever one of our friends buys a house. And so it's one that's just it's super approachable because not all our friends are into board games like we are, but it's also super fun.
And even if you play with a big group of people, everyone's always doing something because everyone has their bag. Everyone's trying to move on their potion board. Everyone's looking to see what they can buy each round based on the tokens in the books, like the witches books that you have out. So it's just like a fun laid back game, but it's also stressful because you're like, am I gonna blow up? I don't know. Am I gonna blow up? Maybe. And sometimes you're like, okay, it's fine. I'm just gonna risk it this turn because I'm just trying to go for purchase powers and not points. And so that's something that's cool about this game, is that if you don't blow up with your potion pot each round, and there's 9 rounds, then you get purchasing ability, which is when you get to buy more
chips to go in your bag.
And you get the points. Mm-hmm. If you blow up, you have to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
You don't get both. But you still always get something, which is nice.
Yeah. And if you're if you got the furthest in your pot out of everyone and you didn't blow up, you get to roll this die. So there's also so you get a little bonus. So it incentivizes you to, push forward and try to push it to the limit. But you also, like Michelle said, if you blow up, you kind of lose some choices. So, or you have to make a hard choice. Mm-hmm. So, but that's Quacks of Quedlinburg. Awesome game. My number 5 is Viticulture. So, Viticulture is a game about making wine. It's a worker placement game where you are using your workers to grab some vine cards, then you have to plant those vine cards, then you have to harvest the grapes off those vine cards, then you have to get wine or make wine from those grapes, then you have to go sell it. And so this is all done over 2 seasons in the base game, and then if you get the expansion, which you should, it's over 4 seasons. And what's really cool in this game is the wake up track, which I feel like there's not many games that do this. But basically, you choose your position, like turn order in the round, and based on what you select, you get different bonuses throughout the year. The better bonuses, you're going to go, further down in turn order, which is bad because it's a worker placement game, and if somebody takes the action that you want, then you're out of luck. There's also there's a grande worker that can go anywhere, even if somebody's there. There's
the special workers, sometimes that ability comes up, but not always.
Yeah. The expansion adds those special workers. It also adds these cool structure cards that kind of make your winery different, or vineyard different from everybody else's. And you also start the game, even in the base game, you start with a mama and a papa, so everybody starts with different resources and stuff. So yeah, it's a cool one.
Yeah, I like Viticulture a lot. It's been a long time favorite of ours. So
yeah. What's your number 4?
Number 4.
Is it Viticulture?
Castles of Burgundy.
Oh.
Which I played last night, 2 nights ago. So Castles of Burgundy, it's way up there. Massive box. I'm not getting that down.
Yeah.
So in Castles of Burgundy, which this game has been around for a long time, it just recently got a like makeover. Basically, it used to be a very bland looking game, like very. It's like all neutrals, but now it's very like bright and lively, and it actually kind of like it made it better. It matches the theme better. But in this game, you're rolling dice, and then you're drafting those dice to take certain actions off the main board and putting it into your like kingdom. You're trying to fill up your kingdom with different regions of like types of.
There's building tiles. There's
different types of tiles in your region.
Yeah. There's like agriculture, farmland. I forget what they're called.
There's mining. And then there's like the actual town, like different buildings that are going in that town, and they all have different abilities that trigger either during the game or at the end of the game. And then there's also like your castles, and so those are the maroon tiles, and they let you draft different castles that actually are 3D that you get to put on your kingdom. It's fast too because you're just rolling dice, drafting. You take turns on who goes. Player order is dependent on your like boats region and like who's furthest along on the boat track, and so that can change from turn to turn. Like I think I started off going first, but then you had a big stream where you were going first.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that does matter because you're drafting tiles off the middle of the board, and sometimes there's only like one type out there, and you're wanting to get that one first. So it's definitely an advantage to strategically plan to try and go first, but sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. This is definitely like a point salad game where you're just getting points doing everything. But this game it's so, I don't know how to say, well done. It's a lot of fun. Just, roll the dice. You're using that die to do different actions. You have workers that you can spend to up or, lower your dice so that you can get the thing you want. And if you can't use a die, if you don't have workers, you spend it and you get 2 workers. So, you're better equipped to handle, the dice stuff, later. But like Michelle said, we have the nice pretty version. This is one that was like notoriously ugly. Sorry, but it was not a pretty game. Everybody was like, it's a great game, but it just looks terrible.
Like we got rid of the old version after
Yeah.
We just decided to stick with the new version.
Yeah, I think we gave it to Matt and Sarah. I don't know if still have or if they kept it or not.
It's still a great game. It's definitely, and even the tiles are like acrylic tiles now, and it just like it makes so much more sense. Okay, it has a mat too, so
yeah, and
recess board for your own individual.
Oh yeah, that was something.
I mean, your boards are different each game too, because there's so many different boards, and you can
layouts.
Yeah, so you're not playing the same one every time.
Yeah, and there's a nice pull and pull, tug of war here. Push and pull. Thank you, push and pull, where you're trying to finish out different regions as quickly as possible
before the round ends,
because you score more points earlier rounds. Later in the game you're probably going to finish out, and so you don't score as many points.
And there's 6 rounds.
Yeah.
So every game. So.
Yeah, very cool. Yep. That's Castles of Burgundy.
Mm-hmm. That's my 4. What was your 4?
My number 4 it's been on my list, but it has moved up, and that is Dice Throne. Specifically, Marvel Dice Throne is what we have. Very excited for the X-Men expansion for it to come out, because it's going to double the amount of characters we have for the game.
Is the box as big?
Yes, it's the same size, actually.
It's great. It's only it's like half of the Calyx shelf.
That's fine. We got plenty of room, So, but this is a game, it's Battle Yahtzee. So, if you've ever played Yahtzee, you roll dice, you set some aside, you roll them 2 more times, and you try to get different sets like, Full House or Straight or whatever. In Dice Throne, you're doing something similar. You have a player board that's a character like, can't think of any of the characters right now. Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Thor. So you roll the dice, and the die have Loki, yeah. Dice have different symbols, and they also have 1 through 6, and so you can get a small straight, a large straight, or you can match up the symbols in different configurations depending on your board, and you're basically attacking your opponent with these abilities to try to get them down to 0 before they get you down to 0. And
it's grown on me a lot. I used to really not like this game like at all, but now I do, and especially like the Marvel theme that we have.
Yeah, because while I was waiting for the Marvel stuff to deliver, because I backed it on Kickstarter, I bought like a couple of you can buy this, they're like $20 and you get 2 characters from Barnes & Noble, wherever. But they were, I don't want to say generic, but they weren't IP based. So it was like the Pyromancer and the
Gunslinger.
The Gunslinger, yeah.
That's what I remember.
Yeah. And so,
yeah.
Same mechanics and everything, just different, theme. Yeah. So, but Marvel Dice Throne have new characters coming. Really excited about that. This is one I play with my nephew every time they come in town. He loves Loki, and I've gotten to where I hate playing against Loki because he has a card that just you have a 1 in 3 chance of just negating the damage, and somehow I always flip that card when I'm attacking him, and he thinks it's hilarious, and I'm so frustrated. But there's also coming out with it's called Dice Throne Missions, which makes it a cooperative. So you and whoever you're with, you're moving across the board and attacking things on the board, and you're all playing simultaneously, like you're all rolling dice, and you can move wherever as long as there's no one blocking your path. And so, yeah. So I'm interested to see how that plays. That's Dice Throne.
Okay, number 3. I have Dino Island.
Oh, Dino Island. I love Dino Island.
Which we don't get to the table enough.
No, we don't.
We do not. We used to play this more than we do now. But Dino Island is a theme of building your own dinosaur park. And it's also got this 90s twist to it as far as the color scheme goes. So it's really fun. There's 2-3 different rounds. And this is showing how long it's been.
Phases. So you have a DNA collection phase where you're drafting dice that have DNA on them.
To help you select the dinosaurs. So you have to have your DNA first before you can decide which dinosaurs you're going to get. And then you use that to start your dinosaur park, where you're also then trying to accumulate attractions and food and merchandise. And so you're trying to kind of balance the dinosaurs with the other parts of your park. And then your visitors that come and visit your park obviously need to be kept safe. So you have to anticipate the security level that's going to be needed to keep your visitors safe from your dinosaurs. Because if you don't, then people get eaten and then you don't get enough points. Which is a real thing in this game. So it's fun and silly. It's very strategic. You have to think through what you're doing, how many dinosaurs you're trying to get. You also have to increase your cages for your dinosaurs as you try and accumulate more. So that's another element of this game, is trying to figure out, okay, how many dinosaurs can I fit here if I get my cage? Do I want more of these, or oh no, now my security's too high? So you have to kind of, again, that balance and that push and pull of trying to accumulate a certain amount of dinosaurs, but maybe not too dangerous of dinosaurs. Yeah. However, the more dangerous your dinosaur, the more excitement it generates. So that's another component, is the excitement level of each dinosaur that your visitors are, looking at when they go. So there's a lot, and it's kind of a longer game. Yeah,
for the most part, and they have different objectives. There's short game, medium game, long game. You can choose what you want to play. I'm trying to think of what else. There's also twists. I forgot. They might be called plot twist cards, but they basically kind of change the game up every time. So you deal out 2 of these, and it's you get extra money, or you get DNA, or something like that. But one thing I like, this game, like Michelle said, there is a lot to it, but it chunks it into phases. It's this is the scientist phase, and this is where you have workers and you have scientists, and you can spend your scientists to collect that DNA from the amber dice, which is cool because it's that's how Jurassic Park got started, right, Amber? Or you can get the dinosaur recipes. Or if you don't want any of that, you can save those scientists and they're just regular workers later in the round. You know?
It's a great worker placement game.
Yeah. And we're on number 3?
Yep.
Number three. Okay, number 3. So this one has been on my list a while. It's not one I get to play as much, but every time I go to make a list, I'm like, man, this is still just one of my favorite games, and that is Near and Far. So Near and Far, it's a game by Red Raven Games. Basically, you are an adventurer. It's a worker placement game where you have a town where you're going to different parts of the town to either recruit people to your party. So they give you different abilities like more combat points or more skill points, or you can go to the mine and get some resources, or you can go get a pack bird that helps you move on the map, because then you have the town, you also have a map. So if you don't want to go on the town, you can say, I'm going to go on the map, and I can move this many spaces because I have this much movement, depending on how many pack birds you have and things like that. Yeah. And on the map, there are places you can get resources, and there's also adventures. So, you land on a number, you open up the book to that number, you read, something happens. And then you can say, you come across a platypus.
Yeah, and it's like a story.
Yeah.
You have to decide. Yeah,
and there's different ways to play it. You can play it like a 10-game campaign. There's also like a 4-game like character campaign. So there's all these different characters, so that you can have a story that's focused on this big plot that's 10 games, or you can have the story that's focused on these individual little characters, or you can just play it. They call it arcade mode, where you have a deck of cards, and when you go on an adventure, instead of pulling out the book and finding that number, you flip a card, somebody reads it, and say you come across this person on the road. Do you help them, or do you... Yeah, she doesn't like the stories as much.
Cards are a great second option.
Yeah, so... But the actual gameplay is really cool, because it's like a race, because the game ends when somebody puts out all their tents. You have these little tents on your player board that you're trying to get rid of. But you're also like recruiting people, and it's, you have these, I think they're called artifact cards that you're trying to build because they make your player better, but then they also get you points. And so, yeah, I don't know. Every time I think about it, and when Matt and I played it, we could knock out a game of this in under 45 minutes, which was cool.
My number 2 is Marrakesh.
Marrakesh. Is this one new to your list?
This is new to my list. I have several. Quite a bit that are new to my list. We also have a lot of differences too.
Yeah.
I feel like we don't have a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
This year. So Marrakesh is a... Oh my gosh, how do you begin to describe? We have another video on this. We have very in detail video on Marrakesh that we did earlier this year. So I think you should just go check out that video, because there's so much to this game. But the shortest description I can give you is that you're obviously in the city of Marrakesh, Morocco. So you are trying to look at all the different resources that you can possibly accumulate. Everything's color coded. There's this tower that you're drafting these resources from. There's one of every color. You get to decide each round what colors you're going to kind of prioritize first that are going to go in this tower. And you may or may not get them, because your partner may get them first, or they may get stuck in the tower, which is actually a thing too. Resource. So there is a lot of player interactivity with this game that you're trying, because you're trying to kind of counterbalance what the other person's going to do, or you won't get that resource to do your own action. Yeah,
this is a really cool game. It's hard to describe whenever you're like, what type of game this is. I was like, it's got worker placement, it's got drafting, I don't know. It's
like everything.
Yeah.
It's a complex game. This is not like
super complex
we would not just pull this out for anybody that may not play board games a lot. This is definitely you need to be
a seasoned board gamer,
into the hobby, and know what you're getting yourself into, because this one has a lot going on.
Yeah. Or you need to be ready to learn.
Ready to learn, watch YouTube videos on it, read the rule book. It's one of those really prep.
Yeah.
To play.
Yeah. And even when we do play, and we've played it quite a bit now, I have to have the rule book, because I'm like,
yeah, we have to
what does that do again? Yeah. How does that work? And
Yeah,
so
like we gotta constantly check on it. We're not like experts at this game at all. Like it's probably why we still love it, because we feel like we're still trying to.
yeah, I love that cube tower. I wish that
Figure it
was in more games, because it's like, you pick your resources and then you drop them in. It's like, oh no, that didn't come out. I needed that to come out. And so, but yeah, Marrakesh.
Yep.
That was your number
Two.
Number two. Okay, so my number two, I haven't had much movement in my number one and number two for quite a few years now. But my number two is Star Wars Rebellion. So Star Wars Rebellion is the original trilogy of Star Wars in a box. It is another head-to-head game. It's an epic game. It takes 3 hours to play, but it's one of the most satisfying board game experiences that's ever happened.
Not for me, but
No, but you're also, I mean, you don't dislike Star Wars, but you're not a huge Star Wars fan.
yeah.
This is like, I don't know, it's the original trilogy in a box, so you start off with, if you're the rebel people, you're hiding, you pick a planet out of like 32 planets, that's where your hidden base is. You're trying to build support for your, the Rebel Alliance. If you're the Empire player, you have all this like cool, spaceships, and you have the full army of the Empire. You feel really powerful, but it's also very slow, and it's really hard to expand out to find that Rebel base, and that's what you're trying to do to win. But it's, when you're the Rebel player, and like you're like afraid of Darth Vader, because Darth Vader comes, he's like powerful, and like if you're the Empire and you're like, yeah, I got Darth Vader, I feel powerful, but then it's also like Rebels hit and run, and it's really annoying to play against them, because they're just like, oh, I'm just gonna fly in. And so that's my number two, Star Wars Rebellion.
Okay, that leaves us with number one. So my number one board game has not changed. It's the same as it was last year and probably the year before. And that is Wingspan. So Wingspan has been a long-standing favorite. This is all about building an aviary. You have different landscapes that you're trying to get your birds into based on the bird cards that you are drafting. This game has expansions to it as well, and we have accumulated all of them. Some of them make it easier to play with two people, which is a good thing. We have that dual layout or dual version that we play.
Yeah.
So this is just a fantastic game. It's so versatile. You can play with a lot of people. You can play with a few people. There are just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bird cards. So you're going to see different cards every single time you play. And there's always going to be just like a different variation that's going to play out every time. Like nothing ever repeats itself. There's 4 different rounds. You get tighter and tighter each round. Do you have like the most actions your first round, and then it's going to shrink down each time based on your like the round actions, round abilities.
Yeah, number of actions you can take. Sure.
Yeah, and even that part of the game changes each time as far as like what you get at the end of each round and what you're going for. There's different things to pick from. So this is an amazing game. I think it'll always be number one. I mean, we'll see, but.
Yeah, no, Wingspan's great, and it almost made my list. And like you said, just awesome components, awesome gameplay, super simple too. So,
Not super simple, but not super complicated either.
Yeah. All right, so my number one, I don't even know why I'm looking, is Marvel Champions, the living card game. So Marvel Champions, it came out in 2019. I got it in 2020. COVID hit. But it's basically a game where you play as a superhero. And as that superhero, you go up against some sort of scenario, which is usually a single villain and what they're trying to do. But what makes this game super cool is it's super thematic. All the heroes are super different. All the villains, super different. But then within each hero, you can build your deck the way you want. It's cool because when you buy a hero deck, it comes pre-built. You can just open it up and play it right there. That's kind of how it was designed. But if you want, as you collect more cards from buying all these hero packs, you can kind of mix and match them. So your hero always consists of 15 cards, and then you can stuff 25 cards from a different hero into that. And so you can have, and they call them aspects. So there's the aggression aspect, or the justice, or the leadership, or the protection. And so it kind of changes what your hero's about. So your hero still is your, Spider-Man, Ant-Man, Iron Man situation, but how they kind of play is different. And so you can build, and the card pool now is so big that even within those 4 aspects, there's like different ways to kind of craft those out.
Just looking at like the 7 different boxes,
Oh,
which
I
is
know.
not even all of them, but you've probably gotten throughout the year over the years.
I think I have one more hidden back there, and they just announced Agents of Shield boxes coming out, next February. So excited about that. And then there's each box is like a campaign, so it's like more scenarios, more heroes, and there's also like a story that kind of ties it all together. And so each game you might do something and it'll affect the next game. So it's pretty cool. But that's Marvel Champions, my number 1 game.
So that pretty much wraps up this series of our top 10s of 2024. However, we decided to break them up, but we are excited to share them with you, and we love to hear what you guys think. We'd love to hear what games have been your favorite as far as where you're at either in 2024 or what you think so far of the hobby. So please comment. Let us know what you think of our list. Let us know which games are your favorite. And we're excited to keep sharing our board gaming plays.
Until next time, I'm Zach.
And I'm Michelle.
And this has been A Couple Games.